Aiden Wilson's small body lay in the hospital bed. Spring sunlight streaming through the window of the white hospital room cast a pale shadow on his ashen cheeks. At his bedside, his mother Selena placed her hand on his forehead, confirming that his fever had gone down. "How are you feeling? Any better?" Selena asked gently. Aiden smiled faintly. "Yes, my stomach pain has improved a little." "That's good," Selena sighed with relief. Her pharmacist's observant eye didn't miss that her son's complexion had improved slightly. Still, it had been a year since this situation began. Unexplained fevers, abdominal pain, occasional vomiting and diarrhea. Each time, he would be hospitalized, undergo tests, temporarily recover and be discharged. Then the symptoms would recur, continuing this vicious cycle. The door to the room opened, and Marcus entered wearing a white coat. Aiden's father and a renowned surgeon at this hospital, Marcus was visiting his son's room not as a doctor but as a father. "Hey, champion. How are you feeling today?" Marcus asked with a warm smile as he placed his hand on his son's shoulder. Aiden's eyes brightened a little. "Dad. I feel better today than yesterday. The doctor says I might be discharged soon." Marcus met Selena's eyes. His expression mixed relief with concern. They were thinking the same thing: was this just another temporary recovery, or finally a sign of true healing? "That's wonderful news," Marcus said, gently stroking his son's hair. "When we get home, I'll take you to that baseball game I promised." Selena stood up and placed her hand on Marcus's arm. "Can we talk in the hallway for a moment?" Once they were outside the room, Selena let out a deep sigh. "This is the 7th hospitalization, Marcus. The specialists still say they don't know the cause, but this isn't normal. Something must be overlooked." Marcus looked at his wife with tired eyes. "I know. I've specially requested the hospital's technical department to conduct more detailed tests. I've also sought consultation from a pediatric specialist in Boston." "Thank you," Selena squeezed her husband's hand. Tears welled in her eyes. "Sometimes my professional knowledge feels like a curse. All the possibilities that come to mind, each one more frightening than the last." Their conversation was interrupted by a cheerful voice from down the hall. "Hello, you two. How's Aiden?" Selena's sister, Vanessa, approached carrying a large bouquet of flowers. Behind her followed Doris, Selena and Vanessa's mother, holding a paper bag. "Mom, Vanessa. You came again," Selena smiled, greeting them. "Of course. I couldn't bear not visiting my precious grandson." Doris held up the paper bag. "I baked Aiden's favorite chocolate chip cookies. They should be much tastier than hospital food." Marcus nodded slightly to Doris. "Thank you as always. It's really helpful when you look after Aiden while we're busy with work." Vanessa laughed brightly. "It's fine, we're family. Besides, Aiden and I have a special bond, don't we, Selena?" Selena nodded at her sister's words. Indeed, Vanessa got along well with Aiden, and her nephew's expression often brightened when she visited. However, lately, an inexplicable anxiety had been creeping into Selena's heart. "I want to see Aiden," Doris said. "He's feeling better today, isn't he?" "Yes, he seems a little better," Selena answered. "But he's still weak, so please don't stay too long." Doris's lips tightened for just a moment, but quickly returned to a smile. "Of course. Aiden's recovery is the top priority." The four headed to the hospital room. When Aiden saw his grandmother and aunt, he managed a weak but happy smile. Doris immediately sat by the bedside and gently kissed her grandson's cheek.
Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious.
"Brave boy. You look a bit better today." Selena observed her son's reaction with her analytical pharmacist's eye as she watched her mother interact with him. Though the cause of his symptoms remained a mystery, her intuition told her something was wrong. He would recover during hospitalization, then deteriorate again after discharge. This strange pattern. And another odd pattern she had recently noticed: Aiden's symptoms usually worsened after visits from her mother or Vanessa, who always brought food gifts. But that must be just a coincidence, Selena told herself. It was unthinkable that her family would harm her beloved son. Nevertheless, her trained pharmacists couldn't ignore the pattern. Selena watched her mother and sister chatting with her son, feeling her own doubts flickering like shadows. Selena, shouldn't you go home now? You've hardly rested for 3 days. Selena shook her head at her mother's words as she squinted at the twilight light streaming through the hospital window. The hard hospital chair beside Aiden's bed was causing pain in her back, but she refused to move. I'm fine, Mom. I want to come here after work and keep an eye on Aiden's condition. Doris sighed. You'll be no use to anyone if you collapse. Vanessa and I can take turns watching Aiden, especially now that Vanessa has started working at this hospital. Indeed, Vanessa had begun working as a clerk in the hospital's administrative department last month. It was through Marcus's recommendation. As his wife's sister, her hiring had been relatively easy. Selena had mixed feelings about this new development. Having her sister nearby was reassuring, but she also felt a strange tension. I brought something to drink. Doris took out a thermos. Your favorite herbal tea. It'll help you relax. Selena accepted the bottle with a grateful smile. Her mother's care was her only comfort. She took a slow sip of the tea and turned her gaze to her sleeping son. Mom, have you ever heard of a child with similar symptoms? Doris's expression froze for a moment. What do you mean? Jeanette from the pharmacy was saying today that there was a child 5 years ago who was repeatedly hospitalized with similar symptoms. Apparently, they never found the cause. You shouldn't listen to gossip. Doris's voice had a hint of irritation. The doctors are doing their best for Aiden. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of the hospital room door opening. Vanessa entered wearing a white hospital uniform. Hello, everyone. I stopped by after work, she said cheerfully. How's Aiden? His fever seems to have gone down a little, but he's still weak, Selena replied. Vanessa said casually while glancing at Aiden's chart, I heard Dr. Brown requested new tests. I hope there's some progress. Selena frowned. How do you know that? Patient information should be confidential. Oh, I just saw it during administrative processing, Vanessa shrugged slightly. Don't worry. I've signed a confidentiality agreement. Selena didn't pursue it further, but she felt uneasy about her sister's easy access to the hospital system. As the night deepened, Selena was gradually overcome with drowsiness. She drained her mother's herbal tea and briefly closed her eyes. Selena, wake up. Awakened by Marcus's voice, she saw morning sunlight streaming into the hospital room. She realized she had fallen asleep in the chair. What time is it? Selena asked in confusion. 7 in the morning. Have you been here all night? Marcus's face showed concern. Selena slowly stood up, wincing at the muscle pain. I didn't want to leave Aiden. Marcus placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. You need rest too. Go home today and get some sleep. I'll stay at the hospital until afternoon. But... Selena, please. No one benefits if you collapse. She nodded reluctantly. Her body was indeed approaching its limit. All right. But I'll be back in the afternoon. Marcus smiled. Before that, I want to talk to you about the new test results. They came in late last night. Selena's eyes widened. Did they find something? I can't say anything definitive yet, but abnormal trace chemicals were detected in Aiden's blood. I'd like your advice from a pharmacokinetic perspective. It's your specialty, right? Selena instantly forgot her fatigue, switching to professional mode. Of course. Show me the results. Marcus handed her a tablet, and Selena began analyzing the numbers with her expert eye. Something caught her attention. The pattern of this compound. This is, possibly a drug interaction. Or maybe. She broke off. One possibility had occurred to her, but it was something she didn't want to consider. Or maybe what? Marcus prompted. Selena chose her words carefully. This looks like a compound that could only be explained by intentional administration. Marcus's face clouded. What are you saying? That someone is giving something to Aiden. It should be considered as one possibility. Especially given the pattern where symptoms improve during hospitalization and worsen after discharge. That's ridiculous, Marcus raised his voice. Who would do such a thing? Harm our son. Selena was hurt by her husband's reaction but maintained her composure. We shouldn't eliminate possibilities. Scientifically speaking. Scientifically. Marcus interrupted her. This isn't a scientific discussion, it's about our son. Selena, you're too tired. Your worry is making you irrational. Their argument was interrupted when Vanessa entered the room. Good morning, she said brightly. You two look awfully serious. Marcus took a deep breath to regain his composure. We were discussing the test results. Selena, you really should go home and rest. Your judgment is impaired. Selena wanted to argue, but Vanessa's presence held her back. All right. But we need to talk more about this later. She kissed Aiden's cheek and left the room. Walking down the hospital corridor, various doubts swirled in her mind. She was particularly concerned about the test results Marcus had mentioned. She stopped and logged into a hospital computer terminal to check her son's file. However, the specific test results she was looking for were nowhere to be found. Puzzled, she approached her colleague, a lab technician. Mike, have you seen the results of Aiden's special toxicology screening? Marcus showed them to me, but I can't find them in the system. Mike shook his head with a confused expression. There's no record of such a test. Who requested it? Selena's anxiety only grew. Marcus, that's what he said. On her way home, she took out her cell phone in the car and contacted Laura, the hospital's security officer. Laura, could you check the access logs for patient records? Particularly my son Aiden Wilson's records. Is there a problem? Laura's voice was tinged with concern. I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing something. Selena parked in front of her house and ended the call. Upon entering her home, she was suddenly hit with fatigue. She sat on the sofa and was about to close her eyes for a moment when the doorbell rang. Opening the door, she found her mother standing there. Oh, were you about to sleep? Doris said. I need to talk to you. It's about Aiden. Selena stared at her mother with tired eyes. Did something happen? No, but... Doris took a small bottle from her handbag. I brought this. It's a natural herbal remedy. It'll help boost Aiden's immunity. Mix a little with his hospital food. Selena took the bottle, feeling her pharmacist instincts raising warnings. Thank you, Mom. But let me check what this is first. A flash of anxiety seemed to cross Doris's eyes. Don't you trust me? This is age-old wisdom. Don't rely too much on scientific testing. Selena said nothing and accepted the bottle. Selena's phone rang before dawn. Mrs. Wilson, please come to the hospital immediately. Aiden's condition has suddenly worsened. The nurse's calm voice gripped Selena's consciousness like a vice. She jumped up and tried to wake Marcus, but his side of the bed was already empty. She frantically checked her messages and found a text from Marcus, got an emergency call. Gone to the hospital ahead of you. God, please protect Aiden. Selena barely dressed before leaping into her car. As early morning light began to illuminate Boston's cityscape, her mind was filled with worst-case scenarios. Memories of the past few days flashed before her. The herbal remedy from her mother, which she had tested, had revealed traces of suspicious compounds. Not an immediate poison in small doses, but something that could accumulate in the body with long-term ingestion and potentially cause health problems consistent with Aiden's symptoms. Upon arriving at the hospital, Selena headed straight for the intensive care unit. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet ward as she hurried down the hallway. Darling, Marcus, who had been waiting in front of the ICU, found her and embraced her. Aiden's condition suddenly deteriorated. The team is treating him now. What happened? Selena's voice trembled. Sudden fever and convulsions. His kidney function is also declining. We still don't know the cause. Selena stiffened in her husband's arms. I need to tell you something. What I found out. Not now, please, Marcus interrupted her. Scientific speculations can wait. Now is the time to pray for our son. Selena closed her mouth. Her husband still wasn't taking her concerns seriously. But her conviction was growing stronger. Aiden's symptoms weren't random. This wasn't a coincidental illness. Sorry, I forgot some documents in the car, Marcus suddenly said. I'll go get them. Wait here for me. Selena nodded and sat on a bench by the wall. Her hands trembled with fatigue and anxiety. Through the small window in the ICU door, she could see medical staff bustling around. Her beloved son was at the center of it all. Suddenly, her phone rang, making her jump. Hello? Selena. It was her mother's voice. I heard Aiden was taken to the ICU. I'm coming right away. Mom, how did you know? Vanessa told me. She's been at the hospital since early this morning. Selena frowned. Why would her sister be at the hospital at this early hour? Her shift shouldn't have started yet. I see, she answered briefly and hung up. Then she suddenly realized she had forgotten to bring copies of Aiden's test results when she left home. Those documents could be crucial evidence supporting her suspicions. Selena checked the time. Marcus hadn't returned yet, and the doctors were still focused on treating Aiden. If it was just a few minutes, she should be able to quickly return home. Nurse, Selena called to a nearby nurse. I'm going home briefly to get some important documents. Could you please tell my husband? The nurse nodded, and Selena hurried to the parking lot. The journey back was strangely quiet. The stillness before the morning rush hour accentuated Selena's anxiety. Upon reaching home, she quickly retrieved the file with the test results from the living room drawer. As she was about to leave, something stopped Selena in her tracks. Intuition, perhaps. She turned toward Aiden's room. Her son's unused bedroom should only be entered by her when retrieving hospital belongings, or by the housekeeper for cleaning. As she approached Aiden's door, Selena heard voices. Conversation leaking from inside. She froze. It'll be over soon, that was unmistakably her mother Doris's voice. As long as no one finds out, followed by Vanessa's laughter. The light tone sent a chill down Selena's spine. Selena's heart pounded fiercely. With trembling hands, she took her smartphone from her pocket, activated the recording app, and quietly approached the slightly open door. It's really working out well, Vanessa's voice continued. No one has noticed. Selena seems to suspect something, but Marcus doesn't believe her. Those doctors, Doris's voice was mixed with contempt. They say they can't explain Aiden's symptoms, yet they're completely oblivious to our plan. That's how they operate. It was the same 10 years ago. Did you see what happened to Marcus after Dad died? Vanessa's voice turned cold. After that accident, he got promoted. Jeff committed suicide, and we suffered, while he and Selena built their happy family. Marcus Wilson must pay. Doris's voice was low and dangerously resonant. By losing what's precious to him. Just as he took from me. Selena is just as guilty, Vanessa added. She chose him. As the hospital chairman's daughter, she helped cover up the truth. Selena was speechless. Her head was filled with confusion. Her father's death, the suicide of Vanessa's fiancé Jeff, and Marcus's involvement, these were all events she knew nothing about. And now, her mother and sister were targeting innocent Aiden as revenge. This is the last time, Doris said. I've increased the dose this time. Once it's all over, we can start a new life. Vanessa's voice continued. It was clever to mix it in that little bottle. Selena might have tested it, but she would only have found some of the ingredients. I formulated the most important component to be undetectable. Selena's body was trembling, but she tried to maintain her composure. Deciding she had recorded enough evidence, she quietly retreated. What should she do with this information? Marcus still wasn't taking her concerns seriously. Should she go to the police? But the recording alone might not be conclusive evidence. On her way back to the hospital, Selena made a decision. First, she would consult a trusted colleague. David Chen, while not Aiden's attending physician, was the hospital's toxicology expert and would listen to her story. And most importantly, she needed to ensure Aiden's safety. Upon arriving at the hospital, Selena headed straight for David's laboratory. Fortunately, he was there despite the early hour. David, I need your help urgently, she said. Could you do a special test on Aiden without anyone knowing? David Chen looked up from his microscope and said gravely, specific toxins were detected in Aiden's blood sample. It's a compound that, though present in trace amounts, could cause severe symptoms through long-term accumulation. Selena closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Anger and fear swirled inside her, but now was the time to think clearly and act. I'll contact the police. She took out her cell phone. Before that, David gently pressed her hand. We need stronger evidence. The recording is just circumstantial. If we could capture them actually poisoning Aiden. Selena nodded. Aiden's safety is the priority. I won't let my mother and Vanessa near him anymore. That's not enough, David frowned. Without evidence of them actually committing the crime, prosecution will be difficult. To protect the child, we need a complete resolution. Selena collapsed into a chair, covering her face with her hands. What should I do? How about installing surveillance cameras at your home and your mother's house? David suggested. Also, test everything Aiden consumes. That evening, Selena told Marcus the truth. At first, he didn't want to believe his wife's words. Your mother and sister. That's. Marcus said with a trembling voice. That's impossible. Here's the evidence. Selena showed him the recording and test results. Please, Marcus. For Aiden's sake, believe me. Marcus stared at the materials in silence. She could see the color draining from his face. Why would they do such a thing? Is there something you're hiding? Selena quietly asked. About the medical accident and my father's death that Mom and Vanessa were talking about. A look of terror crossed Marcus's face. How do you know about that? Tell me the truth, Marcus. He let out a heavy sigh. 10 years ago, when I was a resident. Your father underwent emergency surgery. I was on that surgical team. I know that. Dad died during the operation. The truth isn't so simple, Marcus lowered his gaze. That day, I made an error in judgment due to fatigue. I missed important signs, and treatment was delayed. The senior physician covered for me, and the records were falsified as an unavoidable complication. Selena was at a loss for words. What? Jeff, Vanessa's fiancé, was also present as a nurse during the surgery where your father died. He knew the truth. The hospital chairman, your maternal grandfather, decided to cover up the incident. Jeff suffered from the guilt and eventually committed suicide, Selena continued. And you were promoted. Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. I've lived with that sin every day. But, coward that I am, I kept running from the truth. Why didn't you tell me? Selena's voice was trembling. Fear. I was afraid of losing you. And now, our son is paying the price, Selena said coldly. Our innocent Aiden is paying for your mistake. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency call from the hospital. Aiden's condition had deteriorated again. At the hospital, Selena and Marcus met with toxicologist David and Officer Carter. Selena had submitted evidence to the police. Aiden is stable, the attending physician reported. However, any further poisoning would be dangerous. We've arranged 24-hour security, Detective Carter said. Your mother and sister cannot approach the room. However, without conclusive evidence, long-term detention is difficult. Leave it to me, Selena said. The next day, Selena invited her mother to her home. Small cameras installed throughout the house recorded everything. How's Aiden? Doris asked worriedly. A little better, Selena answered quietly. But he's still weak. Oh, that's good, Doris's voice mixed relief with disappointment. I'll bring something else. Did you try that herbal remedy? Yes, Selena answered as planned. But it doesn't seem to be working yet. Should I increase the amount? Doris's eyes lit up. Yes. Try doubling the dose. It should speed up Aiden's recovery. After that conversation, Doris began mixing something in the kitchen. While Selena deliberately stepped away, Doris added something to Aiden's food. The hidden cameras captured the entire process. 3 days later, having obtained decisive evidence, Selena and Marcus submitted everything to the police. Detective Carter's team arrested Doris and Vanessa. Multiple toxins and mixing equipment were discovered at their homes. A week after the arrest, Selena sat with Marcus in Aiden's hospital room. The boy's complexion was gradually improving. Mom, what happened to Grandma and Aunt Vanessa? Aiden asked in a small voice. Selena met Marcus's eyes. How should they explain? We won't be seeing them for a while, Selena said gently. They did something wrong, and now they have to take responsibility. Did they make me sick? Selena was surprised by Aiden's insight. Yes, son, Marcus answered. But don't worry anymore. It will never happen again. I promise. Aiden nodded slightly. Dad, Mom, can we be a normal family again? Selena embraced her son. Of course, Aiden. We're always family. We'll be even happier from now on. On the day the trial began, the courtroom was tense. Doris and Vanessa stood without changing expression. Selena could no longer find any affection in the faces of the mother and sister she had once loved. The judge asked, "How do the defendants plead?" Not guilty, Doris's voice was calm. We only sought justice for a family killed by the medical system. On a rainy Sunday afternoon, Selena retrieved an envelope from the mailbox. Seeing the return address, her chest tightened. It was a letter from the State Women's Correctional Facility. 6 months had passed since the trial. She returned to the living room and placed the unopened letter in a coffee table drawer. It was the third letter from her mother. The first 2 remained sealed in the same drawer. Any important mail? Marcus called from the kitchen. Just bills, Selena smiled in response. She didn't want to worry her husband. Outside the window, Aiden was playing with neighborhood children in the rain. His laughter, fully recovered, could be heard through the rain sounds. Selena felt a warmth in her chest at the sight. He's a strong kid, Marcus said, standing beside her and gazing at their son. Even the trauma counselor was amazed. Aiden's resilience is remarkable. Selena nodded. He rarely talks about what happened. But sometimes, he wakes up from nightmares in the middle of the night. Marcus put his arm around her shoulder. Just like us. They stood in silence. The past 6 months had been days of family rebuilding. Marcus had resigned from the hospital's management committee and disclosed the truth about the medical accident from 10 years ago. His career had taken a hit, but he had no regrets. Instead, he had established a foundation to support families of medical malpractice victims. Selena had been appointed leader of the hospital's patient safety protocol improvement team. Her experience had given her a sharp eye for finding system flaws. After dinner, when Aiden had gone to sleep, Selena returned to the living room. The letters in the drawer weighed heavily on her heart. Taking a deep breath, she opened the first envelope. Dear Selena, her mother's handwriting brought pain to her chest. The letter showed no remorse. Doris claimed Marcus was the real culprit and tried to persuade Selena to stand with family. The second letter was similar. Are you reading them? Marcus quietly asked. He had known all along what his wife was doing. Yes, Selena smiled faintly. You knew. Marcus sat beside her. I knew you had to get through this on your own. Selena opened the third letter and read its contents. Unlike the first two, this one was tinged with despair. Doris and Vanessa were isolated in prison, despised by other inmates. The stigma of child harmers gave them the lowest status even within prison. Will you write back? Marcus asked. After a long silence, Selena nodded. I will. But it will be the last letter. The next morning, Selena wrote a brief letter. To Doris and Vanessa. You may be my blood relatives, but you are no longer my family. Thank you for teaching me that true family is not bound by blood but by love and trust. Never contact me again. Selena. She dropped the letter in the mailbox and took a deep breath. Wiping away a tear that rolled down her cheek, she got into her car. In the rearview mirror, she saw Aiden and Marcus heading to school. Mom, hurry. Aiden waved from the window. Selena smiled and walked toward them. In her heart, sadness for her lost family coexisted with gratitude for the new family she had protected. And she knew. Wounds would heal with time. They might never completely disappear, but they could move forward together. Believing that truth and love would be the power to overcome darkness.